Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to explore one of the most ambitious and disastrous operations of the First World War, the Gallipoli Campaign. In 1915, the war in Europe had stalled. The Western Front was locked in trenches. Millions were mobilized, but no one was winning. The Allies needed movement. And one man believed he had the answer. Winston Churchill, then First Lord of the Admiralty, supported a bold naval strategy: force the Dardanelles Strait, capture Constantinople, knock the Ottoman Empire out of the war, open a supply route to Russia. On paper, it looked brilliant. In reality, it would expose the limits of naval power and the brutality of underestimating terrain. The Dardanelles, a strategic choke point. The Dardanelles Strait connects the Mediterranean to the Black Sea. If the Allies controlled it, they could resupply Russia, pressure the Balkans, threaten Central Powers from the south. But the strait was narrow, heavily mined, and protected by Ottoman artillery placed high on cliffs. The Ottoman Empire, often described as the sick man of Europe, proved far more resilient than expected. The naval disaster. In March 1915, Allied battleships advanced into the strait. They faced floating mines, hidden artillery, and difficult currents. Within hours, several major ships were sunk or crippled. The plan to win the campaign through naval firepower alone collapsed. Churchill's gamble now required boots on the ground, and that decision would define the campaign. April 25, 1915, the landings. Before dawn, Allied soldiers approached the Gallipoli Peninsula in small boats. British, French, Australian, and New Zealand forces landed at multiple points. At ANZAC Cove, the landing went off course. Instead of relatively flat terrain, troops faced steep ridges and narrow valleys. Ottoman defenders, under commanders including Mustafa Kemal, reacted quickly. Kemal famously ordered his men not merely to fight, but to die holding their positions. Machine guns opened fire. Men scrambled onto beaches under chaos. Units lost cohesion immediately. Officers fell. Plans dissolved. Within hours, the invasion had turned into survival. The terrain as an enemy. Gallipoli was not Flanders. It was rocky, dry, uneven, and unforgiving. The ridgelines gave defenders clear sight over the beaches. Water was scarce. Summer heat reached unbearable levels. Flies swarmed. Disease spread rapidly through crowded trench systems. Unlike the mud of Passchendaele, Gallipoli offered dust, heat, and thirst. Yet the result was similar: a stalemate. The battles within the campaign. The campaign was not one single battle, but a series of costly assaults. Lone Pine. Australian forces attacked heavily fortified Ottoman trenches in August 1915. The fighting devolved into brutal close-quarters combat in narrow trenches. Casualties mounted rapidly. The ground gained was minimal. Chunuk Bair. New Zealand forces briefly captured high ground at Chunuk Bair. It was one of the rare moments where a breakthrough seemed possible. But counterattacks forced them back. The ridge remained contested. Suvla Bay. In August, a new landing was attempted at Suvla Bay. The goal was to outflank Ottoman defenses. But delays, confusion, and hesitation prevented decisive action. Ottoman reinforcements arrived quickly. Another opportunity vanished. The Ottoman defense. The campaign elevated Mustafa Kemal to prominence. His leadership during Gallipoli would later shape modern Turkey. Ottoman forces fought defensively, using terrain to their advantage. They endured heavy losses but maintained strategic cohesion. The sick man of Europe had defied expectations. Stalemate and attrition. By late 1915, the Allies were entrenched on narrow coastal strips. Months of fighting had yielded little strategic gain. Casualties climbed. Morale declined. In London, political pressure mounted. The campaign had failed to deliver its promised breakthrough. Churchill's reputation suffered severely. He resigned from the Admiralty. The evacuation. Ironically, the most successful phase of Gallipoli was the withdrawal. Between December 1915 and January 1916, Allied forces evacuated under cover of darkness. Innovative techniques were used to avoid alerting Ottoman forces. Self-firing rifles were rigged to create the illusion of continued presence. Troops slipped away quietly. Unlike the landings, the evacuation succeeded with minimal additional loss. But the campaign itself was over. The cost. The Gallipoli Campaign resulted in approximately 250,000 casualties on each side killed, wounded, or missing. The exact numbers vary by source. For Australia and New Zealand, the campaign became foundational to national identity. ANZAC Day remains a day of remembrance. For Turkey, Gallipoli marked a moment of resilience and leadership. Strategically, the campaign did not achieve its objectives. The Ottoman Empire remained in the war. The stalemate in Europe continued. Strategic consequences. Gallipoli demonstrated. Amphibious invasions require overwhelming coordination. Terrain can negate numerical advantage. Naval dominance alone cannot guarantee land victory. Political ambition can underestimate logistical reality. It became a case study in overreach. Legacy. Today, the Gallipoli Peninsula is peaceful. But beneath its soil lie thousands who never returned home. Gallipoli did not win the war. It did not shorten it. But it reshaped identities, leadership, and military doctrine. It stands as a reminder that bold plans must survive terrain, logistics, and human endurance. Because war on paper is one thing, war on a cliff under fire is another. If you enjoyed this deeper exploration of World War I, consider subscribing.